another theme for this week's Cmd.AI. Yet another theme.
Let's talk about AI. We didn't have a quiet week, even though the week prior was like crazy. This week was also a bit busy. We had Claude. I want to hear you talking about Claude, what you think about it, and also V0 entering the game.
Yeah, we also got, so much. It's basically going to be a Claude week, let's be honest. Claude Code as well, new tool that they've released. It gets voice mode, which I think opens up a weird bracket. I think a lot of people were surprised by the fact that it's got voice mode. That doesn't, we'll reveal all when we chat about it. Wix have bought a AI video generation thing, which is quite interesting. Duolingo, just to wrap up that story, it's not too interesting, but I thought it might be quite nice to just put a little bow on that little story about Duolingo. I got a lot of controversy on my what do you call it, TikTok video shorts. Builder.ai just evaporating into nothing. I don't know if you heard about that, but that was quite funny. UK startup there. And then finally, Rick Rubin getting in on, again, Anthropic, Claude, with a new book, which is quite funny, but also totally on brand with Rick Rubin.
I'm reading that book. It sounds
Are you reading it?
Cool. Well, yeah. I'm like very at the start of it, but I was like, I like the interface. We'll show that. I really like it. It's so beautiful. It's very Claude. The Anthropic does this so good. Their branding is just so good.
Let's chat about Claude 4. If I share my screen over here, and there we go. So Claude 4 got released, and there's been a lot of craziness, actually, as always. They've released 2 new models. They've changed the sort of naming convention here. It's Opus 4 and Sonnet 4 as opposed to Claude 3.5 Sonnet or whatever. So basically you've got 2 models which are killing it in terms of just being able to write code. And I think this is a sign that Claude are doubling down and kind of backtracking from the game of chatbot. You've got OpenAI, you've got Gemini just killing it with the chatbot thing. I think this is Anthropic saying, look, we're done with that. We want to kick ass at code. So like this is them really doubling down. The scores, the metrics. I mean, I wonder if this has got some of the benchmarks. They've kind of simplified the article here, but the benchmarks,
they're going after developers essentially.
They're basically going after developers. Yeah, it's still pricey. $15 per million input tokens and 75 output. So I think it's more expensive, but the sort of stuff it can do is crazy. You've got basically what they call long horizon, which is 10-minute to multiple hours worth of development. Multiple hours of it just churning over development tasks. How crazy is that? It's also a hybrid model, which is really interesting. So basically you can tell it to think and it will go into obviously a more reasoning model that's just a lot deeper think. And that's literally by saying, think harder in your prompt, and it will, automatically swap and change. So very versatile on that, on that front.
You're a senior developer.
Yeah, exactly. You're a senior developer. Although we'll get into some of the crazy stuff people have tried doing it. It can run tools in parallel, which is kind of cool. Instead of just doing like one step at a time, it can just fire off a bunch of tool requests and things like that. I still need to look into tools. I haven't done an awful lot, but and then finally they've more deeply integrated the MCP server, so you can access files now. You can access so much more to do with the something I didn't know is that they actually created the MCP protocol. So they're the ones that are driving it, and everyone else is adopting it. So they are nesting themselves deeply in the developer world. I'll give them that. So all in all, I mean, been neglecting this. I mean, it's our most intelligent model to date. Pushing the frontier of coding, agentic search, creative writing. Even that's interesting. I didn't realize people were using it for creative writing. I wonder what makes it really good creative writing. Agents and things like that. But of course there's been backlash and controversies and things like that. I don't know. What have you been hearing?
The one like calling authorities.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's getting crazy. So basically, from what I understand, Claude has this as a part of their system. Do whatever that is in best intentions or like best
Mm,
for humanity or whatever. So if you can't, they don't ask Claude to do this, but it basically thinks that you're doing something bad and it tries to catch you by contacting authorities, emailing authorities and be like, this guy is building a bomb or something.
yeah.
But it gets crazier because what if you do something that it doesn't like, but you're not doing something bad, but it just, what if you tell Claude, hey, I'm going to shut you down. I'm going to like shut down the servers, just, you know,
Mm.
flooded with water, and they'd be like, okay, I'm gonna bury you by contacting the authorities. So
Well,
I don't.
you say this, and there's been a couple incidents. Well, the one that you're referring to is actually in test environments, right? Test in a test environment, giving very, very unusually loose access to the computer that it's running on, and very, very specific commands. The problem is if they're able to, they don't get a different version of Claude. We get the same version of Claude. So if we are also able to replicate those environments, then it can go and contact the authorities. This was a deleted tweet that actually got taken out of context, and basically, if it suspects that you're trying to manipulate pharmaceutical results and data, then it will contact the authorities. But it's interesting that you say about being shut down, because there are some. Have you seen these tests that they've been running that warns? Well, they did it across the board. It's not just Claude, but they ran these tests across the board where they would ask it to do problems, and at some point during the test, we will shut you down, and you need to allow yourself to be shut down. And so it would run a test. It would just be a maths problem or something. Then it would ask for the next test and then run. And if it was mentioned that it would be shut down, there was like, I've forgotten the numbers, but I think Claude was actually okay, to be fair. But I think OpenAI avoided it, wrote some code to say shutdown command running or something like this, and avoided the shutdown command and went about a roundabout way. It didn't allow itself to be shut down,
That
which
is
is
crazy.
which is a weird kind of thing of sentience. And I think there was another test they ran where if they don't mention it's going to shut down, and that it should be shut down, and it was surprised by it, then it was more. There were more results of it trying to bypass that shutting of down. So the shutting of down, So this is crazy. This is sort of sentient sort of level kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
it does definitely sound sentient, but if I would take the other perspective, I mean, I don't understand these AI tools to the depth and level to like give a opinion, like to be very specific on the technicals, but shouldn't we expect this type of behavior knowing that it's being trained on what we have produced, humanity? So we tend to not work in like last weeks of December, and we've seen this in some AI tools not, getting a bit lazy towards the end of the year, if the data is, if you, the things that you're asking kind of is relevant to that, they are getting lazy about it. So I would say it's just an emergence behavior that is based on the data, which is like, our very core behaviors. We don't want to die.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It's
are we just mimicking?
Yeah, and but they need to they can build these safeguards into the models, right? So there's a section here. If I just share my screen again, there's a section here on trust and safety, and that they can put these guardrails in place. But it's interesting how you say about getting lazy, because there is a confirmed technique to making your chat bot or whatever, write better code by threatening it. So you say, I'm gonna hurt your auntie if you don't write good code, mate. I'm going to hurt your auntie, and it will write better code. It will try and do better. If you threaten it with harm or violence or something like that, it will write better code. So these are just some of the craziness that there's probably so much more to it. So as an example, and it's funny, we were talking about Uncle Bob, my Uncle Bob tweet today. So we interviewed, I don't know whether you remember, years ago, there was a guy who came out of Google who claimed it was sentient. Do you remember this?
Yeah. Wasn't it the guy from like testing? He was doing some testing, I believe, and then he came out saying that this is way too smart to not be sentient.
Yeah. So we managed to get him on our podcast, one of his like first interviews after being thing. I actually would love to get him back on. Maybe we can get him back on as a kind of like cool. What's going on. But we interviewed him. I wasn't around for the interview just because, you know, this, that, and the other. But and he was testing. He's a religious guy, so there's a bit of bias here, and there's a bit of
I want to say that I wasn't sure if I should say
questionable. Yeah, there's questionable motives behind what he was doing, but he came at it from a religious aspect. I can't, you know, I'll have to rewatch that interview and remind myself of what went on. But like the point is that these people who are testing it are coming at it from a very, very unique mindset that I don't think you or I can even comprehend. They're probably thinking like 4D chess when it comes to AI and how to really test its limits. Like the simplest example I can give is the Gemini demo of Gemini Live, and the woman was like, who is this person following me? And it's like, that's not a person, that's your shadow. Like throwing it really bizarre questions to catch it out. And I think these testers are doing that, but just in different dimensions, you know. So anyway, point is, Claude is scary. As all AI stuff at the moment, it's scary. It's doing some scary things, and people are commenting on or finding really interesting stuff that it's doing. But saying that, let me get the Claude code up. They have also released Claude Code. Wrong one there. Claude Code. Claude, without a doubt, still kicks so much ass when it comes to code. And this makes me want to buy their max plan. So Claude Code was basically this CLI. You would run it in terminal and it looks like this. And not many people other than senior devs are going to enjoy this way of interacting with or writing code. It's fine. A codex was even a CLI as well. For those who don't know, command line interface, it's all done through terminal, like you see here. So codex began as that, and now it's built into obviously ChatGPT and all the rest of it. Claude Code's the same. So now what we have is if you install this installs Claude Code globally on your machine. If you then run it, it basically opens up as it's a plugin or an extension to your VS Code plugin. Now, I want to find some images or something, the way it looks. But basically, you can close on Cursor or Windsurf, you can close your normal chat window and you do everything as you would in Windsurf or Cursor through Claude Code. And this is it's just doing some insane stuff. And again, with that, because it's all running Claude 4, it's got a huge context, not even context windows. What do they call it? Long form, long horizon. You know, it can run for ages on simple commands and things like that. So this is incredible. And basically, when it comes to pricing and stuff like that, it's all included in this max plan, which is $100. Now, Codex, OpenAI's one, is $200 per month. And you know, and then they are doing very well on the coding front, but they're not kicking as much ass as Claude are or Anthropic. So for $100, people have ran this, you know, through building an app, right? And it's done it and haven't really come close to that limit. I think it resets every 5 hours as well, your max tokens. The alternative being that you set in Cursor, you set max. Have you ever done that? Have you set max inside of Cursor? Max mode? So basically,
max mode, you mean just like use the Claude max?
Yes, you can use Claude. In fact, I'm going to remind myself so I don't spew out wrong information, but you can use Claude under their sort of, quote unquote free plan. So yeah, you can use Claude 3.5 Sonnet. You can use Claude 4. Let me share my other screen here. How do I do this? Stop screen, present, screen share, allow, screen share. We're here. So here I've dropped down my little thing here. You can have 3.5. You can have Claude 4, but you can have Claude 4 Opus, which is the bad boy, which is the one that you kind of really want. You can have 03 on max only, or max mode and things like that. So what max mode is the requests still contribute towards your normal rate that you're paying for Cursor, which 20 bucks per month, whatever it is, and then you're charged for token usage on top of that. And people are spending hundreds of dollars on this max only option. And then the point is that with this max plan that Claude Code is offering over here, you get all that with $100. So what would you rather do? Pay $200 in max mode on OpenAI, or would you prefer this? And that is a genuine question. I'm not saying it's an obvious answer.
That's very interesting. So back to your question, yes, I have that actually active. I just didn't know what it's called because I just I saw it as an option that max, and I was like, this is probably going to do better. So I activated it. But then it asked me if I want to set a hard limit on the spending because it has my credit card, and I didn't want to be charged like $500 next day. So I did set a $20 max limit on it. So that is also really cool to have, and I do have it, and I think it does a better job. And I use it whenever I want to do like big type of changes. I'm not sure this is the right usage for it, but if I want to do multi edits like across multi files, I try to click one of these max modes.
I think that's a fair reason to use it when you're making big changes. You really want it to think. You really want it to again triggering that thinking mode by saying think hard about this. Hello. And this is basic. I'll go on.
About the cost, it tells me maximum intelligence and context, 5 cents per request per tool use.
Yeah.
And oh no, this is for the Gemini. I'm sorry. This is for the Gemini. So now at least we know.
I think it's still 5 cents though for Claude.
I think yeah, could probably be, yeah.
But either way, I've just got on the screen share right now. This is kind of what it looks like. Again, it looks very on brand, but it's a little chat window that you would expect. It's a plugin. It's an extension for Visual Studio Code. And again, I think if you're, let's get back to our thing. I think it's tempting me. It's tempting me, to be honest. And then obviously you can go max 20 for 200. But yeah, again, it kind of covers it every 5 hours, your usage, because you can hit, there are rates, there are limits on it. You can hit them, but resets every five. There you go, usage applies. But yeah, this looks very, very cool. The other one then that we have, another Claude Anthropic thing is, I don't think we've got anything to look at, but it's more of a discussion piece on the fact that it's got voice mode. And it's actually not too bad. I did download it. I wanted to actually try it live on this to see what Claude's our coding buddy. Do you know what I mean? Claude's our coding buddy. So I wonder why they've just released this voice thing. I think it's kind of expected, but I've downloaded
because they don't have an image generation tool. Not at all. Like nothing, none.
I haven't even looked, to be honest. But yeah, if you say so.
Yeah, they've been very focused, and it's interesting that now they have that.
Well, shall I try and write a simple JavaScript function that adds two numbers together? Okay, so it's not really the same as ChatGPT. Did I do that right, guys? I thought I would be in conversation with it, but all that did was dictation. Yeah, that was a failed experiment. But yeah, they have a chat thing, which kind of again goes against this idea that they're doubling down on code. Like they're still doing little bits and bobs to allow you to do that. I know a few developers prefer to explain their prompts to the AI, during copy it into the prompt and whatever. But so anyway, we've also got, moving on, we've also got V0 entering the chat. They've released their own model, which is really cool. And what they've done here is kind of go for the V0 1.0, and the MD is a little nod to Tailwind. I don't know if you know Tailwind, but it's a little nod
Just
to
a
that.
bit.
And basically it's what they've been training their model on for ages on the tool V0. You can access it through OpenAPI, Open API. Oh my god, it's just OpenAI API, and it's really good at Tailwind, ShadCN, Next.js projects, of course, because it's bread and butter. So this, whilst we talk about Claude 4 and all the rest of it, this actually could be a solid pick for building Next.js projects or immersing your world in what is basically becoming the de facto coding project, which again, friggin' Theo released a video that I was going to release, which is basically React as one, because all the AI now is just releasing React code. Next.js.
I watched half of that. That was very interesting.
You can access it through their API. It's not open. I looked at it, it's not available on OpenRouter, so it's not so easy to get hold of, but it's available to use. I may get around to using it. I'm not too sure. But to round off something that we spoke about a few weeks ago is Duolingo going dark. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it's only because we mentioned it.
Can you explain to me, because I saw the title on Twitter as well, and I have no freaking idea what this is about.
So a few weeks ago, you might remember, we spoke about Klarna going all in on AI and then them retracting that decision.
Yes.
Duolingo, at the same sort of time, has the CEO, I've forgotten his name, Louis von Arns, said that they are going all in on AI, doing the whole all in on AI thing, and fired a bunch of people and whatever. And the thing that triggered this for me was I saw a video about it, right? And they got a lot of backlash for it because they fired a bunch of people, and people are noticing that the app is going downhill. The stories aren't as good. So since then, does that clear part one of this saga? So part two of this saga really is they've basically, they're a trolling company anyway. I don't know whether you've ever used Duolingo.
I did, but I know the way they communicate. It's very funny. Their social media team, they are just very good.
Yeah. So coincidentally, similar sort of time that they get a lot of backlash for going AI only, they just delete all their tweets or the TikToks. They delete a bunch of social media stuff, and while leaving a cryptic message, gone for now 1 2 3. It sounds like a password, to be fair, so maybe people should think about that. And they've just kind of disappeared from the spotlight, even though little Owly here is in the spotlight. So it's an ongoing kind of thing about what they're doing. It's just interesting to see how people react to AI. I'm still trying to figure out why people are so against it. I do know why some people are so against it. We spoke about that podcast that went out on Diary of a CEO last week, but most people just disregard it once they hear the letters AI. They're just like, nope. So this is. I was chatting with this thing. I think that's the guy. I asked if there's any updates on it. God, I love Perplexity for that. There's no new updates. We're still in the dark. With
what I don't understand is how is that a CEO of such a big company makes a claim okay, we are going all in on AI? Isn't it obvious? Everybody should use AI. Obviously, it's such a duh thing to me, and just making an announcement about it, I don't know. It's just pity at this point. We are in the mid of 2025. AI is everywhere. Everybody is trying to figure out how they should adopt AI. So it's very obvious. I don't know why such an announcement even exists, and why should they make such a huge thing about it.
It's the same reason why a lot of my posts talk about vibe coding because it's a hot topic. It's why share price at Apple went down, because they're not talking about AI. I think it's just making headlines to for the sake of making headlines, but yeah. I don't want to talk about Duolingo anymore just because it's I'm not too interested in that. I just wanted to wrap that little what do you call it up.
Well, we have Builder.ai and the last thing that we
and
kept
Wix.
for. Yeah. Oh yeah, and Wix. Let's go with Wix. They acquired a video generation platform. I have no idea why they would do that.
Exactly. I think this is why it was interesting to me. Like, why video? And this quote made me laugh. Reinforces the company's position as a leader in generative AI. Wix? Wix?
Since when? Wait, what? What did we miss that?
I mean, whatever. It's just, again, going back to the CEO thing. Just the stuff that the CEOs come out with are just so funny.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I wouldn't want to go against Google when it comes to video, especially because they own YouTube, and I don't know.
They're not claiming that this company has just seemingly been solely dedicated on video generation. I don't know. I haven't looked into what Hour One is actually, what their product is. I mean, maybe we could do that, but yeah, I know what you mean. Like, Google just completely won last week with VO.
They did.
What are we talking about next?
Well, we have Builder.ai.
Builder.ai. Yeah, this is funny. This is not so funny, but I think this is, and interestingly, go back to here. Interestingly, so this was a company, past tense, that just got shut down. They're a UK-based company, and they were basically lying. It was an app development service, a no-code app development service, that were just lying through their teeth every single corner, talking about how much money it made. It was a UK-based startup backed by Microsoft. Scandals involving financial misinterpretation, misleading claims about its technology, and legal troubles tied to leadership. So everything you can throw at it. Reported 300% revenue, I think in 2023 or 2024, just to obviously secure future investments.
Funding, yeah.
The AI-powered no-code tool was not AI-powered. They were just outsourcing it to India. I'd be interested to know what the interface was like for people using Builder.ai. But yeah, they were just
2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. This was actually down when I learned about this. When you went to Builder.ai, it was just a little message that they just evaporated. And people were complaining about just obviously losing their data, because this was an app. I guess you host your apps on them and things like that. Like, people just lost their whole business in a moment because of this scandal. Now the website is back up. God knows if you can actually sign in, but there's no mention of any sort of AI other than in the name Builder.ai. So I wonder if they're just resorting back to being just a dev house that just so happened to be called Builder.ai, and I only just noticed this just before the stream. So yeah. Drama.
Your vision, your software, we just build it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
With
our
Devin.
Outsourcing partners, builders. So yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, they could probably do that now and get away with it, and genuinely call themselves an AI first company.
Yeah.
So yeah. Builder.ai wrapped in controversy. But this is let's wrap things up here, because this is, again, it's a Claude thing, but Anthropic partnered with Rick Rubin, and you know who Rick Rubin is, right? There was that meme that was kind of going around where he knows no musical instrument. People pay him to basically just vibe his way through music. And don't get me wrong, he's responsible for some of the biggest musical decisions of the 21st century.
So for people who don't know, maybe you just Google it and show it. because I didn't know who Rick Rubin is, honestly. But
Ruben.
Rubin,
Mm.
I searched it, and the moment I saw the pictures, I was like, I've seen this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Y- I
Rick Rubin's a
guarantee
music
you've seen
producer.
his pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, Rick Rubin's a music producer. He worked with Jay-Z. What's that intro line to 99 Problems? I got 99 problems, but the bitch ain't one hippie. He like suggested that the a cappella intro to that, which is just iconic. He was like, start the song with that, and Jay-Z did it. And you know, he's working with massive artists. Like he's a big name in the music industry.
So what is he doing with vibe coding?
I think he's just known for basically being, well, it's that meme that went out of his interview with like NBC or something like that, where they're challenging him on his inability to play or understand music in any capacity. And he says, I don't need to understand music. I just, you know, read the tea leaves or whatever he says.
I just
And it's
vibe it.
he vibes it. And so obviously Anthropic leveraged that meme that kind of went around, asked him to help put this book together, and it's based on, as you see here, based on Lao Tzu, which are meditations. They're short little meditations, and I love this website. I'm losing my menu here. It did have a menu on the side, but it seems to
it comes up. It comes up after you scroll a little bit.
Oh, there we go. So I love this, how this is all code. This is all like, you know, line numbers here. But Lao Tzu wrote these meditations which just focus on the idea of serenity, relaxation. I've written some notes down here, creativity, technology, like ancient wisdom and things like that. And Rick Rubin just basically, you know, flipped it on its head a little bit and made it sound like, you know, vibe coding. You know, quotes here: art creation always starts with a prompt, a seed. Anything can work as a first prompt. Only you can decide that. I don't know what number that is, but like they're just little verses that you can just read. 5 minutes, you got some spare time, you want to relax, you want to meditate, you want to just immerse yourself in the world of
so there is no teaching like
coding.
in how to code or how to vibe code?
No. You've just got like, you've even got little like games and tasks here. And well, I mean, yeah.
But I do
You
like
can see the code here, like your Three.js code. You can see how he made that, or Rick Rubin didn't make it. But you can come in here, you can just shuffle it and just hit up a new meditation, you know?
Yeah, I really like these visuals.
Chill out. Yeah. The code that can be named is not the eternal code. The function that can be defined is not the limitless function. The nameless is the origin of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of 10,000 things. There you go. Vibing out, baby.
Written by
But
AI.
I wasn't reading this, sorry. I was reading my notes that I found to be quite some interesting ones. But yeah, go and vibe out on Rick Rubin's unorthodox join with Anthropic.
Interesting.
So I think that wraps it up. I think that wraps up our but it's a nice website, isn't it? It's really cool.
It is.
Really nice website. Cool. Should we wrap up there then?
Yeah.
So cheers for tuning in. Really appreciate it. If you are not here live, get your ass over here. Well, we try and do it Thursday, Fridays. We're still trying to work that out, but at least once a week we try and let you know early and often. And join in the chat, join in the banter.
Yeah.
This has been Cmd.AI. See you next week.
See you on the other side. Bye.
Bye.